Good afternoon and welcome to this special talk on early careers and skills. So, why are early careers and skills so important to us in the space sector? Well, the vast majority of jobs in the space sector are STEM-based, and we know from years of analysis that STEM is just not a cool job for many youngsters, and the attrition rate from STEM careers means that we have a huge shortfall in skilled people able to take on these roles. As a stark example, the recent report from the IET suggested that we can expect a national shortfall of 59,000 skilled people in the areas that it looked at, and that's on an annual basis. Now, when you look at the health of the space sector from the last health check report published by UXA in 2018, we can see that we may be in a precarious position. The space sector continues to outstrip the general economy in growth, and this is likely to continue if we are to achieve the government's aim of achieving 10% of the global space market by 2030. Now, if we're competing against an overall shortfall in skilled staff nationally and competing against uncertainties due to the pandemic and Brexit, where does that leave us? Now, I believe it means that early career staff have even more importance in our future. And in my opinion, that's a good thing. It's long been said that we have to start young. At the various early ages, young people's minds are open to all sorts of opportunities and wonderment, and they love it. There are an enormous number of outreach and engagement activities out there for all ages and covering all STEM areas. Feedback that we get from these activities is overwhelmingly positive. The words that you can see on the slides there are from an STFC Open Day held a few years ago, where we had over 15,000 members of the public flood through our doors to learn about the science that we do on site. Amazing, fun, fascinating, and wicked are just some of the words used to describe their experiences of the day. But how do we turn that amazement into the employees of the future? By the time they reach secondary school, things start to get a little worrying. Despite all of the wonderful experiences on offer out there, half of those children at secondary school have absolutely no idea what an engineer does. And well over half see STEM subjects as really difficult and hard, quite off-putting to many. And yet the data shows that attainment in STEM subjects is little different to other subjects. The chart on the left shows the attainment rates for a selection of STEM subjects compared to other subjects. Some subjects are well above the average pass rate, others below, but there's not much difference overall. What's interesting though is the gender gap in the subjects being taken. Now we have a diversity talk directly after this one, so I won't dwell too long on this subject, but there are some differences worth mentioning. Overall, as you'd expect, we have a broadly similar number of girls and boys taking the compulsory subjects, reflecting the population at large. But once you start to get to the elective GCSEs, such as engineering, ICT, computer science, the picture changes dramatically. Only 1 in 10 pupils taking engineering, for example, are female. Computer science, which is one of the fastest growing GCSEs, still only has around 20% of female entrants. And yet, as the chart shows, girls far outperform boys in all of those elective GCSEs. And for me, I think that tells us that enormous potential is being lost every single year. The picture is worse at A-level and gets progressively worse the further into education you go. But sadly, the seeds seem to be sown at a very early age, with 4 times more boys than girls saying that they would consider an engineering career at primary school level. But of course, there are things that we can do, and indeed have been doing for some time. One key area we can look at is parental engagement. Young people tell us that parental guidance is the biggest factor in their choices of subject and encouragement to go into STEM careers. What we need to do is explain all of the opportunities and positive benefits to them. For example, STEM careers, including engineering, have higher starting salaries than the average in the UK. And with the shortfall in STEM workers, employment prospects are excellent, and the careers are interesting and have impact. We just need to continue to get this message across. And Kate, the first of our speakers today, will explain what she has been doing to help this. The space sector is one of the most highly skilled workforces in the UK. 3/4 have a first degree, but all of this is underpinned by the hugely important work of our technicians, many of whom go on to get degrees themselves. More practically minded, they're considered to be the doers, the ones who make it happen and seem to perform magic in order to make things work. Apprenticeships are a traditional route into technician work, and we'll be hearing from Chris later on, who has gone through that route. Thankfully, the work of technicians and their importance to the UK economy is being recognised, with many organisations signing up to the technician commitment to provide visibility, recognition, career development and sustainability in those technical skills. And STFC are proud to say that we have also signed up to this commitment, recognising the importance of the skills that these roles have. Skills is an important word at the moment. I've seen that there is an increasing awareness around the importance of soft skills in particular. For many years, employers have emphasised the importance of hard skills, the academic and the vocational qualifications, the piece of paper that says you know everything, but at the expense of the people skills that are so important to succeed in the workplace. A massive 92% of employers think that soft skills are as important or more important now than the traditional hard skills. And this is also reflected by almost 3/4 actually having problems with people who do not have those workplace skills. This is why a lot of training schemes, whether apprenticeships or graduate schemes, put a lot of emphasis on these areas now. And later on, we'll hear from one such individual who's clearly demonstrating these key employability skills, Stephen George, who is currently on the STFC graduate scheme. But now I'd like to introduce to you our first speaker, Kate Winfield, a data scientist in the Cedar division of RAL Space.
Hello, I'm Kate Winfield, an environmental data scientist in Cedar RAL Space. I came up with the idea of the challenge in 2018 whilst I was on the graduate scheme and have been developing it ever since. The Science and Engineering Careers Challenge was created for Girl Guiding and Scouts ages 5 to 18. The challenge is split into 6 jobs and sections. Each section has 3 different activities that involves tasks and skills that are used in the particular job found on site. To earn the badge, the young people generate 1 activity from each section. The overall aim of the project was to inspire the next generation to become scientists and engineers by giving them an understanding of the careers that are available. So why was this challenge created? There were 3 motivations. Firstly, schools, organisations and governments are encouraging young people to go into STEM-related subjects and jobs, but they only say go into science and engineering, never explaining that these are big areas and there are many different careers relating to them. I myself had no idea any of these jobs existed. Secondly, the Girl Guiding programme has recently changed, removing the science-related badges from the programme and converting some badge criteria into unit meeting activities that are specially designed activity cards that do not relate to a badge. At first, you may not think that this is a problem, but earning badges is a big part of guiding and scouting. And finally, the cost of the badges. They can be very expensive. On average, it can cost anything from 50p to £2 per person, which takes up a lot of unit funds. Therefore, we wanted to make sure that we had a badge that was free and everyone could take part, no matter where they were located. So far, 8,226 young people have completed our challenge associated with 376 groups. 93% are from Girl Guiding groups and 47% are Brownies aged 7 to 10. The challenge has reached over 27,000 people and leaders on social media, and the challenge has been completed across the UK, from the north of Scotland to Cornwall. One group has even completed it from Canada. 30% of the groups that have taken part are from deprived areas of the UK. After completing the challenge, 97% of participants have a better understanding of what scientists or engineers do, and 100% of leaders would recommend the challenge to other groups. So what are the next steps? So I'd like to develop a workshop that can be delivered and developed by STFC staff members to groups where leaders are struggling to deliver the STEM-related activities, reaching more groups across the UK. Our project has been funded by the STFC Spark Award Graduate Scheme and RAL Space Comms teams. This has been an amazing project to be involved, seeing my idea become a reality and developing new skills along the way. Thank you for listening to my talk. I am now going to pass on to Chris, where he's going to talk about the Apprentice scheme.
Hi, my name is Chris Jenkyn-Watkins and I'm a 4th year electrical engineering apprentice. Today I'm going to talk about my RAL Space Placement, which was 4 months. So a quick talk about my apprenticeship is it's a 4-year engineering apprenticeship. So in the engineering apprenticeship, you get to specialise in either 3 different fields. So that's a mechanical, electrical or electronic. So I chose electrical. So during the apprenticeship, there's a 4-month-long placement. So this is in the wider facilities of STFC, which includes CLF, ITIS, Muon Source and RAL Space. So alongside this, I'll be doing college studies. So on completing the apprenticeship, at the end, I'll hopefully have a level 3 MVQ in advanced manufacturing engineering and a level 4 HNC in electrical engineering. So my RAL Space placement was with the environmental test team. So the majority of the work we did was done on the large thermal vacuum chambers. So as you see in the back of the photo there, and alongside that, we did a lot of thermal vacuum testing. So this was on existing thermal vacuum chambers. Also helped out during the vibration testing. So this is where they have a specialized rig where they put space hardware on top and they basically replicate the conditions of a rocket launch itself. Also helped out during the clean room preparations and wearing the suitable PPE, because a lot of the work we do is on the thermal vacuum chambers, which is all done in clean room environments. So another job that I got to do inside during my RAL Space placement was the thermocouple cable project. So this project was basically to connect the thermocouple cables from inside the thermal vacuum chambers to go all the way to these electrical panels. So this required us to lay hundreds and hundreds of meters of these cables, tie wrap them all, good cable management to go all the way to these electrical panels, and then also terminating these into special connectors. So on the right side of this photo, we have these Trident connectors, and these plugged into the bottom of these electrical panels. So these Trident connectors had about 30 odd cables going into them. So yeah, it's quite tricky. It was the first time using these Trident connectors, but it's very enjoyable. So overall summary of my RAL Space placement, it was a great placement. I learned a lot of good teamwork and communication skills. I got on very well with the environmental test team. Also learned a lot of new techniques in installing and terminating these cables. Also, safe and effective working within these clean room environments is something that no other placement on site shows you this. And it also has helped me in the long run. During the COVID, I'm now used to already sanitizing everything I touch. It's also sparked my interest in the space industry. This wasn't something that crossed my mind initially when looking for apprenticeships, but I've definitely considered it after getting into this placement. Also, my first time ride on a cherry picker, even though I'm not that good with heights, it was a very fun experience, but it was very scary. So now I'm going to pass on to Stephen. He's going to talk about his Harwell Campus Rocket Club.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Stephen George, and I am a graduate space systems engineer for RAL Space, and I'm also the chair of the Harwell Rocket Group. So the Harwell Rocket Group was founded in October 2019 by some RAL Space graduates and myself to initially explore and enjoy the UK's amateur rocketry community. So we started off as a small group building a level 1 rocket, which we launched successfully in January of this year. We then naturally wanted to design a much larger and much more capable rocket, which created a surge of interest across the graduate scheme and beyond. And the group now brings the diverse skill sets together and strives to create a collaborative and friendly environment that enables all levels of interest and experience to get involved. So this brought some strong partnerships with the campus itself, whom are currently working with us to establish a local launch site to make participation and inclusivity that much more enabling. So with the increase in UK launch capabilities, it is our vision to be a leading group within the UK amateur community and be a pathfinding entity towards creating a much wider community across the UK, much like you see in America with their huge launch industry. So Harwell Rocket Group focuses its efforts on creating this community that offers opportunities for personal growth, especially from an early careers perspective. So we are creating roles within the group, such as project management, systems engineering. We're creating more hands-on experience and much, much more. Myself, as an example, I've been exposed to leadership skills, negotiating skills, higher levels of responsibility. I've had to be extremely proactive with leading this group, and I've been developing internal and external relationships, which generally gives me a much broader network across the campus and the industry. And additionally, opening up this interest group and having a local launch site encourages communication between companies on the campus, which we hope has a secondary effect towards more professional collaboration with RAL Space, but also between the companies themselves. And finally, we believe it's extremely important to be inspiring the current and incoming generations of scientists, engineers, and more to pursue careers in STEM. We hope to do this through an increased science capital within the local area and beyond, with targeted rocket workshops for Key Stage 3 and younger, having a strong online presence since most content is consumed via the internet these days, especially given the global pandemic, as well as providing online resources for those interested and for those who might need some initial direction to get started in recreational and hobbyist rocketry. So just before I conclude, I would like to thank Hull Campus for their support in helping us work towards our vision. They've been paramount to our formalisation, especially as we work towards establishing a local launch site. So if you're interested in anything I've said today, you can visit our website, follow us on social media, or you can email me directly. I will also be attending the network and reception, and I'm always keen to have a chat. I'm now going to pass back to Sarah to wrap up this session. Thank you.
Steve, thank you for finishing off an amazing set of talks. I've got so many questions, but I'll limit it to just one each. Kate, first of all, it was great to see so many girl guiding groups taking up that challenge, especially when it's so hard to encourage girls into STEM. Was that intentional?
No, it was totally not intentional. I wanted to make sure it was across both guiding and scouting, but I found that these challenge badges are very popular within the guiding community and not as well known in the scout community. And it also helps that I'm a girl guiding brownie leader, so I had many contacts to be able to get it out onto social media.
That's fantastic. I think you've done a great job. And Chris, I loved hearing your story about your placement, and you've obviously gained a lot of experience on your apprenticeship. What advice would you give to young people at school who maybe wouldn't think of an apprenticeship as their first career choice?
I'd say personally, I'd put it above going to uni personally now, because so many people are going to uni nowadays, but a large amount of what you're coming out with is a lot of debt. Whereas during an apprenticeship, you get paid to learn. So that's one plus. And also on the other side, you get a lot of the work experience, which uni sadly can't offer unless you have like an internship or a work placement. This whole apprenticeship is your job, basically. So, yeah.
Yeah, those are fantastic points and ones that we really need to get across to young people out there in schools. And you're an amazing role model. So thank you for everything that you're doing. Steve, your work absolutely ticks all of the skills boxes that employers want to see. And the fact that you'll be giving back by working with young people is so fantastic. So how have you made the most of your time during the COVID restrictions is what I want to know.
Right, yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, COVID-19 was a bit of a blessing and a curse for us. So although it prevented us from any hands-on work, it has given us the space and the time to reinvent the group to where we are now. And we plan to continue pushing along this path despite not having currently having any access to lab space or being able to meet any people in person to actually launch some rockets. And we're hoping to do this through YouTube content to some online resources, which will include step-by-step guides to blogs to lessons in amateur rocketry, high power rocketry and the likes, whether that's through our own website or possibly working with someone like the UK Rocket Association to create a central hub for all UK rocket enthusiasts is still something we're trying to figure out.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And thank you again to all of our speakers. I think you'll agree that our future is in very safe hands with people like Kate, Chris and Steve at the helm. And it leaves me just to say thank you to everybody for listening.